treated us very well.
Sir, can I ask you about your meeting with Nvidia? What did you talk about, and do you think you need to ban more of the chips that they're selling to China?
Well, he's a great gentleman, and I hadn't met him. He's the biggest in the world in terms of chips, and I can't say what's going to happen with it. We had a meeting. It was a good meeting, but eventually we're going to put tariffs on chips. We're going to put tariffs on oil and gas. That'll happen fairly soon. I think around the 18th of February. And we're going to put a lot of tariffs on steel. We already have tariffs on steel, and we've saved our steel industry, but that was relatively small compared to what it'll be. But we're going to be putting tariffs on steel and aluminum and ultimately copper. Copper will take a little bit longer, and that'll happen pretty quickly. It'll mean it'll be a great boost for our steel industry. It'll make our steel industry very strong. If I didn't put the tariffs on years ago on steel, which actually Biden left because there was so much money that they couldn't do anything about it, we would have lost. We wouldn't have one steel mill in this country if I didn't do that. We saved the steel industry. So it was an honor to do it, and I think the people that love me most in the whole world are people that make steel. But we're going to be putting sometime this month, next month, we're going to be putting tariffs on steel and aluminum, and we'll give you an announcement as to what the exact date is. But it'll be a tremendous amount of money for our country, a tremendous amount. These are big numbers, and in addition to that, and you see the power of the tariff. I mean, the tariff is good, and nobody can compete with us because we have by far the biggest piggy bank. And so that'll take place very quickly. But also we'll be doing pharmaceuticals. And to bring our industry back, we want to bring pharmaceuticals back to the country. And the way you bring it back to the country is by putting up a wall, and the wall is a tariff wall. We were the richest country in the world. We were at our richest from 1870 to 1913. That's when we were a tariff country. And then they went to an income tax concept, and how did that work out? It's fine. I mean, it's okay, but would have been very much better. So we'll be doing pharmaceuticals, importantly, and drugs, medicines, etc., all forms of medicine and pharmaceuticals. And we'll be doing, very importantly, steel, and we'll also be doing chips and things associated with chips.
And sir, what do you plan on talking with the Japanese Prime Minister about next Friday when you all meet?
Well, he's coming in, next week. I don't know, he asked for a meeting, and I have great respect for Japan. I like Japan. Prime Minister Abe was a very close friend of mine. What happened to him was so sad, one of the saddest days. But they're coming in to speak to me, and I look forward to it.
Just when you thought the stock market was stabilizing, the Trump administration is contemplating a bold move to tighten technology export controls to China, putting at risk a crucial revenue stream for Nvidia. Nvidia stands at a crossroads, poised between potential growth and a formidable U.S. policy shift. The question remains, will Nvidia navigate these stormy waters unscathed? Welcome back, everyone, to Investocracy.
World that we got it done, and we're going to get it done again very quickly. Now, I think I do it with an executive order because they didn't go through Congress. I got it approved through Congress. So I think we get it done fast. But it's going to be, that can supply all of Asia with its location. All of Asia can be supplied by Anwar. So there's so many things, but we don't want to have any future president ever sabotage our economy with out-of-control regulations as the last two Democrat presidents have done. They went crazy. Last week I signed an order revoking Joe Biden's destructive artificial intelligence regulations so that AI companies can once again focus on being the best, not just being the most woke. And today and over the last couple of days I've been reading about China, and some of the companies in China, one in particular, coming up with a faster method of AI and much less expensive method. And that's good because you don't have to spend as much money. I view that as a positive, as an asset. So I really think if it's fact and if it's true, and nobody really knows if it is, but I view that as a positive because you'll be doing that too. So you won't be spending as much and you'll get the same result, hopefully. The release of DeepSeek AI from a Chinese company should be a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser focused on competing to win because we have the greatest scientists in the world. Even Chinese leadership told me that. They said, you have the most brilliant scientists in the world in Seattle, and various places. But Silicon Valley, they said, there's nobody like those people. This is very unusual when you hear a deep seek, when you hear somebody come up with something. We always have the ideas. We're always first. So I would say that's a positive. That could be very much a positive development. So instead of spending billions and billions, you'll spend less and you'll come up with, hopefully, the same solution. Under the Trump administration, we're going to unleash our tech companies and we're going to dominate the future like never before. And finally, we need to work together on a defense bill that once again fully rebuilds our military for our great warriors. We have to have a strong...
As the chess game of international trade continues, the tech industry holds its collective breath, with Nvidia finding itself in the spotlight once again. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick's recent remarks signaled a recalibration of policies to restrict AI chip sales to China. The policy proposition hints at pulling the brakes on Nvidia's H20 chips, customized GPUs crafted ingeniously for the Chinese market. But before going on with the video, are you into cryptocurrency? If so, check out our second channel, Investocracy Crypto. We bring you breaking news, expert analysis, and the latest trends in the fast-moving world of digital assets. Whether you're a seasoned crypto investor or just curious about the future of finance, we've got something for you. Click the link in the description to subscribe to Investocracy Crypto now. Don't miss out and stay ahead of the game. Now, let's get back to the video.
Josh, Kerry mentioned Nvidia being higher today. You know, that's been a pain point within the market. Bernstein's Stacy Rascon says valuations are looking increasingly attractive. They suggest that that stock has done historically well if you buy it at 25 times or lower. It's obviously had a huge pullback. We've suggested, well, you're not really going to get a better feeling market until the likes of Nvidia looks a little better in its own right.
I mean, there are so many green stocks right now that we should be talking to, like eBay, Alphabet, McDonald's. Like, these are pretty big market caps. But Scott, you're right. To that point, nothing is big enough to offset Nvidia. There's no 10 stocks that are big enough to offset Nvidia. So I do think it's important for maybe not necessarily overall volatility, but just for the indices to kind of find some support. You kind of have to have a name like Nvidia bottom and go green. Look, 26 times forward earnings with a 50% growth rate, a buyback, and arguably some of the best news flow of the year out of any stock still ahead, including a huge developers conference in March. Why wouldn't this stock be a buy here? So I agree with that sentiment. And, you know, if I'm out looking for things to do and I haven't done this yet, I would have it on the list.
Despite challenges, Nvidia's quarterly sales soared by a staggering 78% to $39 billion. Share prices stabilized post-DeepSeek disturbance, indicative of investor trust in an AI-driven future where Nvidia stands as a formidable pioneer. But now the tariff uncertainty has sparked yet another major sell-off that is tanking the stock at the current moment. But before going any further, if you made it this far into the video, thank you. These videos take a lot of effort and time to make, so if you enjoyed them, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This goes a long way in helping us grow. That said, back to the video.
After Q4 earnings. That's not justified, right? Like, but we're talking about some of those names, like Nvidia's like, oh, maybe they'll grow earnings only 65% of 70. I mean, come on, no? And then like, oh yeah, that needs to be 30% down. Really? On that kind of news? No, that's way, way, way overdone to me. So even in the Mag 7, even in tech, and then overall then obviously in the US, I think you want to buy that as well. It's not a point of buying Europe over the US, it's buying Europe and China and the US. It's actually really broadly where things are still pretty all right.
We will leave it there. That's
I think today, when you look at the rally that you had in Nvidia, yeah, it was just pressed down. It was down nearly 30% from those recent highs. It was a crowded trade. People got out of it, and people are going to be looking for opportunities to get back into both of them.
And I think we were correctly cautious since that January engulfing pattern across the desk, and that proved to be right. And today's the first day in terms of price action. You can actually make a case. You can play it from the long side. I'm not saying it's going straight up from here, but you know that 110 low to your earlier point, that was a low that we saw basically back in September on heavy volume, which is a good sign. So for me, for the first time in a while, Nvidia actually looks nice for a trade.
The present specter of regulations lingers like a cloud. However, the forecast hints at burgeoning demand riding the current of Nvidia's GPU exploration. With its share price dipping further and the future looking ever so bright, Nvidia might be going through the most turbulent of times, yet it offers the average investor an opportunity to buy and make profit later on. But what do you think? Share your thoughts. Finally, if you would like to know what companies like Nvidia have been up to these past few days, go ahead and click on the next video on your screen. See you there.